Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, in my opinion, was a game that was pretty much destined to not be well received. There's a lot of reasons for it now, like the live service aspect and stuff, but right when the game was announced like 4 years ago, and they announced that it was going to be a part of the Arkhamverse, I knew it was going to go in a direction that people didn't want because it's not a game that people were asking for from a franchise, which at the time didn't see an actual continuation for around 5 years. And then you wait like 4 years after the announcement of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League for the game to come out, and those suspicions were unfortunately true. People didn't like the game primarily due to the story. The story, spoiler alert, had us kill the Justice League in pretty anticlimactic and embarrassing ways. Now, the Justice League is definitely coming back to life in some way with the game's DLC, but still, in the main game, it left a really sour taste, especially with Arkham Batman. Now, my thing is, I think the game gets way more hate than it actually deserves. The game's gameplay is fun. I think the loop of the game is actually enjoyable. Yes, it's repetitive because every mission ultimately plays the same, but if you take breaks and come back to it, it's actually just fun to play. A video game is meant to be fun at its core. This video game to me is fun to play at its core. And the story, while I didn't like it, it's technically not finished yet. We have to wait for all the DLC drops to complete the story, so like, yeah, we don't have the full picture, but that's also an issue people have. Live service game means we don't even get the full story until later down the road. There's a lot of justifiable reasons that people don't like the game. I feel like years down the road though, people will start to appreciate this game more, in my opinion. But for an Arkhamverse game, if they really wanted to make a Suicide Squad game, then that's fine. But this was like the worst timing to make a Suicide Squad game in the Arkhamverse, and let's explain why we needed another kind of game before Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Before we do, I wanted to thank today's sponsor for the video, Brilliant. Brilliant is one of the leading ways to learn data science, math skills, and computer science in a unique and engaging way. It's a very interactive way we can learn how to apply these skills at any level, whether it would be a beginner level or advanced and everything in between. I really like that it helps with math skills since that's what I enjoy most, but I have a friend that's a science geek that loves this kind of thing. The best thing about it is that you can learn at any time you want. There's no pressure to learn things at a certain pace or worry about some big deadline or test. It's all catered to you and how you want to learn things. Like I said, my friend that enjoys science actually used this when I brought it up to her, and she enjoyed it. She said it's a fun way to learn new skills or refresh your memory on topics you already learned. You can slowly progress or just pick different topics you want to tackle. It's really easy. You can get started for free for 30 days using my code, brilliant.org/GothamPaladin, or click the link in the description. First 200 to use a link, by the way, get 20% off an annual plan as well, so it's just a great deal all around. Thank you to brilliant.org for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to it. Okay, so what should they have had done before making a Suicide Squad game about killing the Justice League? Well, let's just take a look at what was in the universe before showing us this huge DC universe. Batman. Before this game, the only universe we explored in this universe was Batman's universe. We don't see Superman's, Flash, Green Lantern's, or Wonder Woman's universes. And the biggest thing, we never see the Justice League form in this universe. The issue here is that there's a huge fat chunk of world building we just miss and don't develop and go straight to a game where you have to kill people we're not latched onto other than Batman. Some of the best parts of this game for me are the audio logs where the members of the Justice League talk with one another, like Bruce and Clark. Rocksteady did so well in capturing their dynamic with one another. They talk like friends that just happen to be a part of a team. I mean, look at this picture here of the League taking a pic together. It's just so cool to see things like this. This is what people wanted to see. A game where we see a development of these characters right here. So yes, I don't think a Suicide Squad game was the next step to take in this universe. I think, I don't know, a basic direction to start with would have been a Superman game after Arkham Knight. If you don't want to make a game for the other League members, then whatever. But a Superman game is just extremely long overdue. I think the most fitting next direction to take this universe if you're done with Batman is to make another game about another superhero relating to him, like Superman. That way, we could have developed a new character and had another single-player focused superhero game that people love to play. And the thing with Superman that's different from Batman is that Superman opens up the door for so many fantasy elements. You can introduce Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, or Flash if you wanted to in his game because it just fits better than introducing them in a Batman game. And that way, we're introduced to these characters first. Instead, what we get is skipping all of that and going to a game about villains we never really cared for and them killing people we actually care for. Or, I saw this on some of my comments, Have another game with Batman where the premise can be like the Justice League members are mind controlled, like this game, and Batman has to go save them, and in doing so, he joins the Justice League and becomes a part of the team in doing so, which is why he comes out of hiding, maybe? I don't know. I think this is a really great idea because that way you can introduce these other Justice League members all in one game. It would be another Batman game which people can't get enough of. But like I said earlier, we skip all of this and go straight to just killing them. It's just weird because this idea isn't bad. The execution, in my opinion, wasn't great. But the premise isn't bad. It's really not. What's really bad is the timing of the game. This is a game you make, like, after another Batman game or Superman game, plus a Justice League game or something, right? People waited nearly 10 years for a new Arkhamverse game, and the next thing is this? Here's an example, which is the same exact situation I'm kind of talking about here. So there's a franchise called Metroid. You've probably heard of it. So for Metroid, they released a game called Metroid Prime Federation Force. And this game was like a spin-off game. It wasn't a main title of the franchise that a lot of people love. And before that game came out, fans were waiting like nearly a decade for the next good Metroid game, and what they get is this Nintendo DS spin-off title that nobody asked for and nobody wanted to play. There's other reasons for that game's downfall too, like Nintendo not celebrating the game's anniversary and stuff, but the point is, it's the same exact situation here, or pretty much the same thing. Fans were waiting for the next Arkham game for so long, and we get this almost spin-off feeling game that just doesn't fit into the pre-existing knowledge we have of the universe, and because of that, people are upset, and rightfully so. Like, Rocksteady had to know this wasn't what people wanted to see or play. But the thing is, this game would have gotten way less hate and honestly maybe some praise if they just went like maybe one or two different directions. Like, maybe not make it live service, maybe not set it in the Arkham universe, or maybe just do what I said earlier about having a game before this that develops and characterizes the Justice League. I think this game would have really benefited from not being set in the Arkham universe because the characters and plot lines in this game are just kind of inconsistent. Like, this Harley Quinn is different from the Arkham games, and the complicated Deadshot plotline wouldn't even be a thing if it was set in a different universe. And this game tackles the multiverse, so it's like, this game could have been a different universe, and then once we enter that multiverse, we can see the Arkham universe, then like, that might have been better. But that leads into the next thing I wanted to talk about, the scope of the game. We go from a pretty grounded Batman universe where we knew that basically the entirety of the DC universe existed, but yeah, just a grounded Batman universe, to now a multiverse with the Justice League and Brainiac, and you see how extremely big the scope is out of nowhere? It's so weird to just show a multiverse in the Arkhamverse. Like, it feels out of place at this moment in time. The scope is way too big for that universe, at least at this moment in time. We needed to be slowly spoon-fed more fantastical elements as the universe progressed. Like, a Superman game can introduce us to a wide array of metahumans and aliens first, maybe? Maybe the Flash game can introduce us to the time travel elements of the Speed Force or something. But we never get that progression. We just go straight to everything fantastical, and because of that, it just feels out of place. And I get it, the Suicide Squad always had their own tone. They had this wacky, violent, like, comedic tone, and that's how they should be treated in my opinion. But that tone, just at this moment in time with the Arkhamverse, just doesn't really fit. Like I said, if they just made it a different universe, I promise you, the game wouldn't have this much hate. Because if it were a different universe and Batman died the way he did in this game, I personally honestly wouldn't really care because we know nothing about this Batman if that was the case. He may just be a scrubby Batman that sucks. But now that you made it a continuation of a Batman that's been shown to be extremely efficient and powerful, now there's issues. You can tell that they wanted to make their own characters but keep it in the Arkhamverse because Deadshot's plotline about being a new Deadshot is so complicated for no reason. Like, there's no way in the writing room they thought of this initially. It had to be like an afterthought kind of thing, this Deadshot plotline. And it's a shame for me because I do enjoy playing this game. The loop for me is enjoyable. Metropolis as a map was really well done. I loved seeing and exploring the city. But when I'm playing it, there's just a red flag in my mind when playing, like, damn, this is not what the universe needed in terms of the story. Age of Ultron is an underrated Avengers movie in my opinion. We missed 5 years of Arkham development between this game and Arkham Knight. I mean, listen to the Jack Ryder speech on how Batman joins the team.
Several years after faking his death, Bruce Wayne finally returned, drawn back to the light by the metahuman superheroes from Metropolis. They asked Batman to join the Justice League. He accepted. And so, the story of Bruce Wayne, the Batman, continues, far from the mean streets of the city that made him.
This premise could have been an amazing game to play through. Some people said they don't like this because it contradicts Arkham Knight's ending, but if we had a full game around this can explain those contradictions. Like, people don't like that Batman basically faked his death to protect people he cares about, but then this game tells us that he revealed himself anyway, so it feels like Arkham Knight's ending didn't matter. Well, it could make sense if they made a game talking about why Batman revealed himself back into the world and joined the Justice League. Like, it's not hard to explain that. You could write a story where it explains that and people buy it and say, okay, yeah, that's why Batman ditched the Nightfall Protocol. But we miss all of that. We miss so much. Like, this is really important to tell us. Why did Batman ditch the Nightfall Protocol to join the Justice League? This is like the Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi 3 story where the Buu arc storyline goes from Majin Vegeta sacrificing himself to then the next mission in that game being Vegito versus Super Buu Gohan absorbed. Like, there's so much there that we just missed. That's incredibly important to the story. They just skipped so much. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League just skipped so much that's very important to the story. I'm telling you, if we had like 1 or 2 games prior to this game explaining everything and then this game came out, even with the live service, it would not be as bad. The story, yes, if it was the same story, it probably would still suck. Probably, yeah. But at least we're not left in the dark with how it got to this point, right? And I also think it's just like 2 things not meshing well together. Like, what if we got a Superman game that took place 5 years after Arkham Knight? People really wouldn't be upset on where Batman is and stuff because we're getting a game people ask for. But in this case with Suicide Squad, we don't know what happened to Batman and getting a game nobody asked for. Man, I liked Suicide Squad. I like this game. I think the concept is interesting, but it's one of those things you have to be careful with exploring. The Arkhamverse needed other games exploring the wider universe they established in meaningful ways. We wanted a Superman game. We wanted a Justice League game. Rocksteady clearly knows how to write the League members, be honest. Even if you didn't like the game, the dialogue among the League members was really well done. Like, I don't think it can get better than this, truthfully. I loved hearing them talk to each other. And I think the dialogue for this game is honestly pretty interesting. I think Boomerang's funny. I think King Shark is unique. But this game is the definition of wrong place at the wrong time. I enjoy playing this game. I don't feel guilty admitting that. Like, I'm happy with my purchase because I've come to peace with the story being ass, although it's not finished yet, right? I just like playing fun video games and that's that. But I also really value lore and world building, which this game as it stands kind of lacks. Maybe in the future, if we get a game set before this explaining the Justice League, it can fix things. Who knows? But this game is not what the Arkhamverse needed, and because of that, it gets hate on top of other decisions like the live service and stuff. More so the plot too. If they made it a smaller scale plot line like Assault on Arkham's plot, where the squad just infiltrates Arkham Asylum, that likely would have been the best move if a Suicide Squad game was really necessary. Like, since I'm talking about it, Assault on Arkham is a movie set in the Arkhamverse. It's not canon, but I think it's one of the best Suicide Squad adaptations. The squad is sent out on a mission they can actually accomplish, rather than them being sent out on a near impossible mission in which they somehow complete, which is unbelievable. I know the squad is known to go do impossible missions historically, but still, I think smaller scale is better with them. So yeah, if the plot was different, this game would definitely not get that much hate either, but I do believe the best choice was to just make a Superman or Justice League game or a new Batman game explaining how he joins the League. Something in that area. But yes, that's what I think they should have done before Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. But what do you think? What game or direction do you think Rocksteady should have gone before doing all of this? And also, please consider subscribing. I'm trying to get 100k before the end of the year. That's my big goal, and I think I can reach it. So if you want to help make my dream come true, consider subbing. I'd really appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter too if you want. I'm trying to get 1k followers on there as well. Thank you to everyone that supports, and any support on the video is always appreciated. Thanks again. Stay safe, and peace.